All right, so what is up, Curiosity crew? My name is Marty Kier. This is my 1997 Toyota goddamn Century. I bought it about a year ago, pretty much exactly 11 months ago, and I've put a little over 5,000 miles on it since then. It's been some time in the shop, but yeah, today we're going to be answering the question of whether or not you can daily drive one of these cars. And this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, so I'm excited to share my thoughts with you guys and give you some advice if you're looking to get into one of these cars and drive it a lot. But yeah, this was probably one of the better car decisions that I have actually made. I've always been interested in classic American cars like the 59 Caddies, some Lincoln Continentals, and some old wagons like the Ford Country Esquire, or Squire, you know, the 4x4 one. So I always liked those, always liked engines with like a lot of pistons, so a lot of the exotic cars. And then on top of that, I've always loved JDM cars. That's kind of where I got my start for my love for cars in general. So this kind of took all of those cars and mashed it together into one, and voila, we have the V12 Toyota Century. So today we're going to be covering the interior, exterior, tech, driving experience, reliability, and then have a general verdict on whether or not you can daily drive one of them. Okay, for the interior of the 1997 Toyota Century, at least with this particular package and these particular options, it's an extremely pleasant place to be. It's very comfy. You don't have to worry about headroom. There's tons of legroom. The materials that the interior is made of are absolutely magical. You've got real wood, you've got machined aluminum billet, or billet aluminum, whatever order those are. You've got some leather, and then most of this Century is wool. I specifically have the blue wool, but there are two other wool colors that you can get. You can get a gray wool, as well as this like orchid or like pink wool. But yeah, the orchid isn't really like a bright pink or anything like that. It's more of a peach or like a cream color, which I guess that one is kind of rare. But yeah, for this being a 28-year-old car, it's held up so freaking well. It's very impressive. Like, I think a lot of these cars were garaged. Since they obviously were from Japan. In Japan, there's certain laws and rules that relate to cars where they have to keep them in a certain condition in order to keep on running them and driving them. So I'm pretty positive this one was garaged. There's not a lot of sun damage or anything like that. So yes, the materials have held up quite well. The seats themselves are definitely sofa-like. They kind of just have this lazy boy thing going on for them. And here we go with some acceleration. With this car being 28 years old, there is some wear on the interior, of course, particularly with the wool and the cushions themselves. Some of the cushions have started to collapse or deteriorate, but they haven't like torn or anything, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, even though the seats are very sofa-like and very lazy boy-like, they're still very comfortable. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it handled that 1,600-mile road trip perfectly fine. My back wasn't really aching at all or anything, so that's a win in my book. The dash itself, that's probably where most of the leather in this vehicle is located. It's a pretty chunky dash, and it's all wrapped in some very thick leather. I don't think you're gonna have dash cracking or any kind of shrinkage in this, just because it is super handcrafted. Toyota's engineers really wanted to have everything as perfect as possible. Of course, this car is focused on the rear seats in particular. It's a type of car where you're meant to be driven around and you're not really supposed to drive it, but driving experience is fine. We'll cover that later. Like, the main quirk that this car is known for is the passenger front seat and how it has this trap door that kind of folds down, and whoever's in the rear passenger, they can stick their feet all the way through and essentially lay down. It's pretty cool. There's an abundance of seat controls. Of course, it does have the curtains, which are super fun. Kind of adds a whole elegant look to it. Makes the ride feel a little more ceremonial or, you know, very eventful. It's theatrical, I guess is what I would describe it as. There's tons of lighting and mirrors. Actually, the rear seats even have a dimming switch on the lights, which is funny. There's also a lot of hooks back there for like hanging clothes, your suits, and so forth. And then you do have some mirrors in the back as well that fold down. The HVAC controls are very straightforward once you have them translated. Very easy to get used to. They do show in Celsius, of course. So there's tons of storage, lots of cargo space. Of course, you have 4 doors, so it's real easy to haul around people if you need to. It can be a party wagon if you want. Oh yeah, another fun little quirk. You've actually got this third sun visor that's super tiny, and it sits right in the middle of the 2 normal sun visors. And that's just so you can block out any light when you are driving. For storage, you've got a center storage compartment right here. Mine does have a broken latch, unfortunately. And then in the rear, you've got a deeper center storage. Of course, if you need more storage, you can just use the back seats. And then the trunk is truly gigantic, which is perfect for getting groceries. Believe me, I have had this parked outside of Walmart and Sam's Club a number of times. In the trunk, you've also got these like metal hangers that can fold up or down. I think that's additional clothing storage. And then you've got this other compartment back there where it's meant for a feather duster. Mine did come with a feather duster originally, but it seems to have lost its way somewhere along the line of this thing's lifetime. There's also a toolbox in the trunk. Mine does not have any tools left in it, but it is there. I did mention that this has wool pretty much everywhere. One downside of that is that includes the floor mats. So if you have dirty shoes or wet shoes, you kind of always feel a little guilty getting into the car with your shoes on. Interesting thing on this Century, I don't know if it came with mini cup holders originally. I know some models do. Mine has like 0, so it's very awkward to figure out where I want to put my drinks. Like, I have a black cherry Waterloo that I'm probably just going to put awkwardly in this center storage area. And then I've got my water bottle, which is chilling in the door compartment. But yeah, not really any cup holders. I'm sure I can find some aftermarket options, or maybe even some original inserts if I'm lucky, because there is a good place for it in the back. The front, I don't really know where I would put cups. There are cigarette lighters in every single door, and they each have their own ashtray. And the compartment that these things are held in, they're like tanks. They are so thick and strong. It's the machined billet aluminum again. But yeah, it's freaking crazy. The thing that's weird is that there's no cigarette lighters like up here on the dash like you would usually expect to see in a car. They're all in the doors, and then there's one in the rear center storage area, which we'll get to in a little bit. There's something special about that one. So it makes it awkward because if you need to charge your phone, like I'm doing right now, because mine didn't charge overnight, I have to plug in my charger on the door and have the cable kind of draped over my lap. I have had it before as well, where I put it in the door storage area, like where my water bottle is. But if I have GPS up or something, I need to see it, so that's why the cable usually ends up being draped across my lap. Basically, everything in this car is in Japanese, and it's a beautiful language. It looks like artwork. But if you buy one of these cars, just be prepared. You will need to download Google Translate on your phone, and it may take some guesswork to understand what each button does. I mentioned the curtains earlier. The rear curtain, just on the rear window, that one is motorized. Mine is kind of functional, kind of not. I'm not sure if it's broken or if it just needs a good cleaning on the tracks. And then the doors make such a satisfying sound when you close them. They just sound so heavy. it just screams quality. But yeah, the overall design is very pleasing to the eye. With the interior, everything's very soft, very plush. The door handles are actually one of my favorite things about this car. They look like a piece of artwork by themselves. But yeah, some common wear items on the interior. The wool itself is very easy to stain. It can wear down, especially if it's been sitting in the sun for a while or if it's just been scooted around a lot in. Sometimes the seat controls don't work super well. But yeah, overall, the interior is perfectly comfy. And since I road tripped it 1,600 miles back home, I think the interior definitely gets an A+. So that covers all of the interior talking points that I've noticed so far and that I think are great about the car. Let's talk about the tech. So since this is from 1997, the tech is not going to be insane, but it was insane for the time. It does have a pretty fantastic nostalgic feel to it. Now, not all Centuries came with this, but mine did, and I'm very grateful it did. I have a VCR, which is a VHS player in the back. And there's a TV in the back, there's a TV screen in the front. But yeah, that's what the back has, a very wonderful VHS nostalgia trip. It's got its own remote back there as well. The front screen here is actually navigation. It's a GPS, and it's a very early touch screen. And if you mess with it enough, press a couple of buttons, it'll actually speak to you in Japanese. I don't really know what it's saying.
目的地周辺に案内できる道路データがありません。矢印で目的地の移動をお願いします。
Of course, your GPS in the front is not going to work. It thinks that you're basically in an ocean most of the time. But I have seen some people that manage to get Apple CarPlay to somehow hook up to it. I don't know if they're replacing the actual unit itself, but I swear I've seen it where it's showing up and it still has that old grainy look to it, so I don't know. I like to say that this thing has the holy trinity of audio and video nostalgia, because not only does it have VHS compatibility, it's also got a cassette player and a multi-disc CD player in the glove box. And as a little bonus, this car also came equipped with a Century branded Sony Walkman. Now, just like the Feather Duster, that seems to have mysteriously and sadly disappeared. So in the interior section, I mentioned the cigarette lighter that is in the center storage area in the back. The reason why I saved that for the tech section of this video is that it has a auxiliary port right next to the cigarette lighter. So that's the perfect place to put a Bluetooth compatible device, so that way your phone can hook up and you can play music and hear what the GPS is instructing you to do. So what's interesting about the Bluetooth connectivity, one downside is that you get this weird high pitch or scratching noise when you turn up the volume to, like, you know, really be bumping music. So that gets a little annoying, but it's not the end of the world, and I guess every single Century does it. There are heated seats for all passengers, and they work really well. And then the rear seats do get massaging seats. I did the air quotes on that because they are more like a PS2 controller vibrating. There's not really any kind of modern massage there. You can actually change the frequency of the massage if you hold down the button. You do have soft closed doors on the rear as well as the trunk. They don't function perfectly all the time, but they do okay. They try their best. Probably the scariest thing from the tech standpoint is that there's no backup camera or parking sensors. And in a car that's like as wide and as long as this, like it's 17.5 feet long, it gets sketchy when you're trying to back up. I haven't smashed into anything when I'm backing up yet, but I've definitely come very close. So of course you can fix that with an aftermarket application, but I have not done that yet. Safety, of course it has airbags. It's not going to be as fancy as modern cars, but it does have ABS as well as traction control. It does have a snow mode, which I have not messed around with yet. But yeah, to summarize it, if you're looking for a high-tech car, I probably don't need to tell you this, but it's not the right car for you if that's what you want. If you're very much into all the gadgets and every single modern creature comfort, it's not the car for you. But if you want a nice little nostalgia trip and still have a very functional and fun car to drive, then on the tech side, I don't think that's something to worry about.
And you'll have a grand old time.
Oh yeah, and one thing that I forgot to bring up about that cigarette lighter in the center storage back there. So let's say I have passengers in the back and they want to check out the VHS. So they break out the bootlegged VHS tapes that I have of Courage the Cowardly Dog, and they toss it in there. The audio switch switches over to the TV, obviously, and once they're done enjoying Courage the Cowardly Dog, and say they depart for the evening, the next day I have to go and unplug the cigarette lighter auxiliary port for the Bluetooth, and then reconnect it, and then that gets it to the correct audio source again. I haven't been able to figure out a way to do that from the radio up here, so just something to be aware of. Okay, on to the driving experience. In one word, I would describe this as meditative. It's extremely quiet in here, especially for a 28-year-old car. There's no rattles, at least in the one that I got. It's dead quiet in here. Yeah, the engine is a 5.0 V12, so it's got 12 cylinders. It's Toyota's only V12, which is cool, but we'll cover some drawbacks of that later. It does have the gentleman's agreement of the 276 horsepower limit, and then it has 340 pound-feet of torque. Weighs about 4,500 pounds. It's definitely more of a cruiser. It's not super engaging like a sports car or anything like that. It is rear-wheel drive, not going to be the best in snow, although the jury's out on that a little bit, just because I haven't tried the snow mode, and obviously I haven't put any kind of snow tires on it. But regardless, I don't think this would be a very good vehicle for snow. Now, a common question that I get is, what's it like driving on the opposite side? And it's pretty easy to get used to. If you just get a good solid day of driving, you'll be able to get used to it and pick it up pretty quickly. The driving position itself, I'd say you're sitting somewhat high. You do have seat controls to adjust the height of where you sit at. The fender mirrors, super stylish. They were a little bit to get used to, especially when you're trying to change lanes, because you're used to having the mirror, right here on the door. So you do have to kind of adjust your mind dimensionally to the vehicle because it's long, and so it's easy to accidentally cut off people when you are first getting used to this car because your mirrors are all the way up there. So this car also only reads its speed in kilometers and not miles per hour, so you basically have to just take what is shown on your screen, your digital dash here, which, by the way, the digital dash is super cool. But you basically just have to take the number that's shown there and multiply by like 0.6 roughly. You could also get like a miles per hour converter. I've seen a lot of them that are like Game Boy looking, which is kind of fun. What I just did there was part of the driving experience. Since you're on the right-hand side, when you're trying to take a left and trying to see who is coming around the corner at 100 miles per hour, it's a little difficult because you've got a pillar in your way, which is sometimes tough to look around and see around. The brake pedal is pretty soft feeling, even though I did put brand new brakes on this. It is a 4-speed automatic. Later on, I think they made the V12 until like 2008 or something like that. Maybe it was 2004, I forget. They did switch it to a 6-speed at some point. The 4-speed, it's a little awkward. It kind of stumbles on itself sometimes. So the throttle response is kind of weird. It's definitely not a strong throttle response, and it seems to get a little confused. It's a floor-mounted pedal. So there's a little button. If you absolutely floor it, you'll feel that button decompress or compress. You'll feel that button push in, and it's supposed to downshift for you and give you more power, but that doesn't happen all of the time. For the suspension in the car, these did come with air suspension from the factory. Mine was replaced with teen coilovers, which I've been very surprised by. I did not know teen coilovers could ride this smoothly and this luxurious. But yes, the air suspension, from what I understand, it's like riding on an absolute cloud, which sounds amazing. I don't think the teen coilovers or any kind of aftermarket air suspension like Airlift Performance, I don't think they really take away too much from that original experience. But it's like with the smaller cracks in the road, you'll still feel it on these aftermarket systems, whereas the air suspension from the factory, you will not. You will just kind of glide right over. So if you're able to find one of those with functioning air suspension that's reliable, first off, congratulations. Second off, it might fail very soon. So with the coilovers that I have on it right now, they are very solid, very, very comfy, very cushy. I guess one downside is that I probably need to increase the height on these, because I noticed that if I'm approaching a speed bump or any kind of bump in like a parking lot or curb, if I hit it too fast, the entire car kind of bops up and then it slams down. So I've actually slammed this quite a number of times. And then of course, as you're going around turns, you can just feel the entire body rolling on you. It's not a sports car, it's not a performance car, so you're not going to have it be stiff and take corners at like 1,000 miles per hour. If you're on kind of a poor quality road, or if it's just super windy out, this thing will kind of buck around and get moved around a lot. So that can be a little sketchy, especially because the steering wheel is light and your steering feel is almost non-existent. So it can be kind of tough to tell that you're getting blown off the road or that you're kind of losing your lane. So just something to keep in mind when you're driving. One thing that I don't really like about the driving experience is the shifter, and I know it's an automatic. These never came in manual, but the shifter, it's got this old zigzag pattern to it, which makes it pretty awkward and kind of a pain to just go from like reverse to drive and back. It seems like it gets hung up a lot. It's also very easy when you're in the drive position to have accidentally gone into the third gear position instead. And I know I'm not the only one that does that. I've had other people drive the car and I look down and I'm like, hey, by the way, you're in third. Now another thing with the shifter is when you put it in reverse, it will continuously beep at you like it's a forklift. But it beeps on the inside of the car, so when you are backing down, say like a large driveway or just trying to park and get yourself centered, you take your time in a car like this because you don't want to scrape it or run into anything. And that beeping just kind of gets annoying. I don't exactly know why they have it beep on the inside. I don't know if other JDM cars have that as well, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. It's obviously alerting you that you're in reverse, but I feel like it just would have made a lot more sense to have it on the outside of the car. But I don't know. I do very much enjoy the headlights when driving at night. I believe these were converted to the HIDs. They are not the OEM bulbs. But yeah, I love driving this at night. I feel very, very safe. I feel like I can see everything. And then the visibility in this car is truly awesome. The rear-most pillars are a little thick, but your windows are so gigantic, and the fender mirrors are actually very good for visibility. I've grown to enjoy them quite a lot. So yeah, visibility, no concerns there. I've never had an issue where, you know, a car is completely covered by my blind spot or something like that. But yeah, I'm running this through 6th West right now out in Colorado. There's a bunch of tunnels in here that are truly wonderful for cars with exhaust. But this car, like, even though it is very floaty, it's just so quiet in here, and the body rolls with each curve. It absorbs like so many bumps. It's actually almost dangerous to drive this because it's such a relaxing experience. It's so quiet, practically just rocks you to sleep. Oh yeah, and one of the coolest things about this car, the starter sound, at least in my opinion. The reason why I like the starter sound so much is that it reminds me of a Gallardo or a Murcielago starting up. Oh yeah, another thing to get used to, and this is the case with any right-hand drive vehicle, it may sound like a really simple thing, but I still make this mistake when I'm driving it. The turn signal and the windshield wipers. With normal US-based left-hand drive cars, your turn signal is going to be usually on the left side of the wheel, and then your washer and everything will usually be on the right side. In this case, it is swapped. So especially when you're first getting used to this vehicle, you will hit the windshield wiper when you're trying to turn on your turn signal, and vice versa. Oh yeah, and as far as making U-turns, say that you are in a city or something, you need to make a tight U-turn. The turning radius in this is surprisingly good. Probably better than you would think, but it still takes up a decent amount of room. I mean, if you pick up one of these in stock form, the clearance isn't bad. You might still scrape on some stuff. I would say it's pretty standard, comparable to like a Honda Accord or just a modern Toyota Camry. But if you are lowered, you are going to be scraping on a lot of stuff, and you still do have to take a lot of entranceways at an angle, and so on. So if you're a car enthusiast and you like your cars a little lower, you already know how to handle a car like this. It does take up a lot of room, so it can be a little annoying to park. I have found it easier to park than a lot of cars, actually, though. Like when parallel parking in particular, because you're already super close to the curb, because you're on this side of the car, so it's easier to judge that distance. But for the life of me, man, I cannot get this thing to park straight. I'm always somewhat at a diagonal. I can never get it straight on. But yeah, I think that covers the driving experience for the most part. It's just a big old boat of a very cool car, so definitely treat it as such, and you won't be disappointed. Moving on to the reliability and the mechanical, probably one of the most common things that I get asked is it, well, they ask if you can daily drive it, and my answer is always, of course. But they ask, does it still have the Toyota reliability? And I'm like, so far, yes, with a few caveats. So I'd say overall, yes, it's still very strong, especially for its age. I think it follows suit with the whole Toyota reliability thing. And again, I think no matter the car, if it can drive 1,600 miles without really much professional inspection, I think that speaks volume to what this car can do. But after I got back from that road trip, I did have a few repairs. My valve cover gasket had failed, and that valve cover gasket is very bespoke to this car. There's actually some other seals in there that need to be replaced at the same time. And then the alternator also failed. So that's another car that's very bespoke, so that needed to be replaced. And then also I found out that my catalytic converters were failing, and Denver really wanted me to replace it with OEM only. No exceptions, which is bonkers to me. And guess what? The OEM catalytic converters do not exist anywhere. Nobody makes them. And then I did have to replace my brakes, and then I did the serpentine belt as well. But those were very easy. The brakes were directly from an LS400. There's actually a lot of LS400 crossover parts, which is great. You can just go to your local AutoZone and pick up parts. But there are other parts that are, like I said, completely bespoke, and you'll be lucky if you find somebody who's manufacturing them or has a parts warehouse. But yeah, there are other parts that are very bespoke to this car, and that means that parts availability is definitely a concern. And if the parts are available and you can find somebody, sorry, I should say if you can find somebody that is confident enough to work on these cars, it can get pricey. So there's a couple of points docked there for this as a daily driver. But I will say that Toyota made this still pretty accessible if you are looking to do some DIY mechanics on it. Like, the brakes were super easy to replace, nothing complex there. The serpentine belt really only took a 14mm wrench, and although it was strenuous battling that auto tensioner, it still really was not bad. The brakes on this, by the way, are huge. They're like the size of a truck. And the serpentine belt was super easy to find on Amazon. Oh! That was such a good bump. I can't help but laugh when we go over bumps like that. It just cracks me up because the whole car just woof. But yeah, since Toyota was kind of trying to get to that Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Mercedes level with the Toyota Century, which, by the way, I think they did get to that level, there are some over-engineering aspects of this. There's a lot of electronics that can fail. Like, I know that this digital dash can start to get pretty pixelated over time, and same with either of the TVs. And again, it's real difficult to source parts for that, and real difficult to repair those. I did talk with the mechanic that worked on this car, and I asked him how it was doing the valve cover gasket, and he was like, yeah, it was really straightforward, but he was like, it is quite the metal sandwich in there. So there might be some over-engineering on that point. And another example of over-engineering, at least in my opinion, is that I guess this has two AC compressors, one dedicated to the front of the vehicle and the other for the rear of the vehicle. Oh yeah, another point for over-engineering, the fan for the radiator is hydraulically powered. So I guess it was meant to help keep it even quieter than an electric fan of the time. So you have a fan fluid reservoir. I think it takes some kind of automatic transmission fluid, which is funny, but I could be wrong on that. But as far as I know, the only thing that this car needs now is fluids, like just fluid flushes. And I guess some of my ball joints are failing, and some control arm issues, but honestly, I'm not too worried about that right now. It's still driving like a dream. Another thing that is unfortunate about these, and this is definitely a commonly shared issue, is that these love to drain batteries. If you don't, at least in my scenario, if I don't drive this for like 2 weeks, that battery is like, hey, I'm done, I need a battery tender. Or it'll just start very, very weak. For miles per gallon, some Century owners report getting 20 miles per gallon, which is really impressive, but that's mostly highway driving. It's super impressive for a V12. Most of the time, 14 miles per gallon is probably what you're gonna get. That's about what I average. But yeah, I mean, so far, this thing's doing really well from a reliability standpoint. Mechanically, it's in pretty damn good condition. I don't have many concerns about it, and it's been treating me fine. It's not really been acting up weird in any way. And for the DIY ability of this, so far it's been easy to access everything and work on it. Granted, I might be still in the honeymoon phase with this car, so we'll see if I share the same sentiment over the next few years. My hope is that as more of these get imported into the US, that some more aftermarket support can pop up and parts availability becomes much easier. And hopefully we can find out more crossover parts. Probably the best thing is there are some forums online that are still active, and you can get some pretty good information from, I think it's Toyota 100. It's one of the Toyota forums. And then this is where I've gotten most of my information for mechanics and parts and so forth. There's some great Facebook groups online. There's the Toyota Century Owners USA and the International Toyota Century Owners Group. Both of those have been extremely helpful. So if you're getting one of these, get into those groups, please. So onto the exterior of the car. It's got this really classic and kind of imposing style. It's a mix of elegance as well as kind of some intimidation. It's almost got that 80s look to it where it's like, yeah, like mafia, crime look to it. It's got a ton of chrome accents. It's got kind of a traditional and not really that special of a profile. So it's like a very formal shape, a bit understated. But yes, up here in the front, you can see we have the C emblem, and then right here we have that phoenix symbol again, which is called the Fushicho. Just the phoenix equivalent in Japan, represents like Japanese imperial. So kind of cool. And then this front grille here, it's got some horizontal lines. Again, plenty of chrome, very classy look there. And then yeah, check out these headlights. They are pretty massive, and they fit the car extremely well. Give it a very dramatic front end. And then of course we have the wonderful fender mirrors here with a chrome cap on them. Probably one of the more distinctive parts about the car, to be honest. We also do have this parking pole up here. I believe this is actually from a first or second generation Toyota Century. The generations before this had a V8, and yeah, this parking pole I think is from one of them. But a lot of people get this confused with a flagpole, and it's just there so that way you know where the end of your bumper is. Kind of fun. And then around here on the side, of course, we've got this very thin spoke design. Definitely a pain in the ass to clean. And then we got these hubcaps. They're huge, and they're the same color as the exterior of the car. And again, we have the Fushicho emblem here, that Phoenix emblem. And up here, we have the V12 logo. Truly wonderful looking. Oh yeah, and of course, you can see the curtains. I haven't tinted the car, I don't plan to. I might do a clear tint just as like a UV protection, but I want to keep these curtains visible, and I want people to be able to see in the car when they check it out. The door handles themselves are just crazy chrome. These do get scoldingly hot if you have it sitting outside for any period of time, so be careful with that. But they look very classy and have a very good feel to them. And then around the back, we do have kind of like a 4-block taillight on both sides, and it kind of has like a koki, very traditional Japanese look to it. And these are really cool, very retro look, very cool look to them. And they're very bright as well. It's not like they're dimly lit or anything like that. And then on the back here, we do have in very, very theatrical font, Century. And there's no Toyota badge or anything. Probably one of my favorite things about this car is the badging. It's just very subtle and very elegant. There's tons of chrome bits on this car, but the downside is some parts of it aren't real. Like this right here, it's bubbling up and it's starting to fail. So that's an unfortunate thing, but I'm sure that can be easily reapplied. And then one thing that also sets this apart is it's got this aluminum on the outside that runs kind of the profile of the car. It's very high quality, looks cool. Fits the car design quite well. And then we do have these rain guards here, which a lot of these cars came with from the factory. It is a pretty big car. It's 17.5 feet long and 6 feet wide. So I know in the modern era, we're very much used to gigantic cars to begin with, but this was definitely huge for its time and still carries quite the presence in the modern day. The exterior paint color on this, it's the Mashu Shrine Blue Mica. The metallic on this is wonderful. It's very, very deep. It's got a very nice rich tone to it. The paint condition holds up well over 28 years of owning this. Well, not owning this, but 28 years of being in existence and driven. Very minimal fading on this particular model. There's not been a respray, which is great. A few like rock chips, a few scratches here and there, but nothing too insane. The rear pillar on this actually is so polished that it's meant to act as a mirror, so that way whoever is being driven around in it can easily check their appearance before heading off. But yeah, the public reaction to this thing is overwhelmingly positive. It's got this kind of universal appeal across multiple different car communities, you know, whether it's a truck enthusiast, a vintage muscle car enthusiast, JDM enthusiast, or exotic car enthusiast. It kind of pleases all of those brackets, which is fantastic. It's a great way to start up some conversations and just meet up with more people. But yeah, it draws attention, but really maintains its subtle class. So I think that about covers it, ladies and gentlemen. So it's time to answer the question, can you actually daily drive a Toyota Century with the V12? And the answer is yes, absolutely you can. I would say this is like a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. The main thing that's dragging it down is the miles per gallon, as well as the rear wheel drive not being good in snow. And then the parts availability, as well as the pricey repairs, those aren't great. And of course, if you are concerned about the tech, well, it's not doing too well in that regard either. But yeah, I've been pretty much daily driving this for the better part of a year, and yeah, I'd say it works great as a daily driver. It's been very reliable. It's definitely got plenty of space. It's a very comfortable place to be. So I appreciate you guys watching. That's gonna do it for this video, guys. As a reminder, I upload every single Sunday, and I will see you in the next one.